This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
We try to get things that you won't find at the malls in the big box stores. So I carry brands that are some of the finest in the world that you won't find anyplace else in Sarasota.
The holiday shopping season has come and gone. Local businesses battling with the chains and online shopping. How were their sales and how can they compete? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on downtown retailers in a moment. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. I know everything is relative. Our friends and families in the Northeast are dealing today with the so-called bomb cyclone. Wow! But it's downright chilly here, too. Let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist, Bob Harrigan, with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Yeah, that bomb cyclone continues to cause all sorts of headaches over the Northeast with travelers that are having an impact on some of our flights arriving into Tampa and also into Sarasota tonight. A blizzard warning remains in effect from Maine all the way down to places like New York. And for the most part, that snow is starting to lessen there, but really pick up over Maine. And it has brought us that very cold air. In fact, a hard freeze warning is in effect for north central Florida. Now, there is some good news on that front in that the hard freeze is mainly north of the citrus industry, at least the majority of that. Now, we do have citrus, obviously, throughout north central Florida as well, but the heart of it right there. And that is basically a freeze warning for the lighter blue that you see there. The hard freeze is what can't kill the trees and plants at points. Now, again, that's hard freezes to the north. We are under a freeze warning from basically east of I-75 to give you a good reference point. To the east thereof, temperatures will be into the upper 20s to low 30s for a duration of about 3 to 5 hours there. And that is going to cause some problems. So if you have some very sensitive plants, bring them in if you can. If you can't, cover them up. Otherwise, you could see some damage there. Along the coast, temperatures will be right around 35 degrees to 40. And it looks as though we could see some patchy frost anywhere within inside our viewing area in the wind-protected areas. So there could be some patchy frost when you wake up because the winds are really going to come down. That wind chill advisory no longer withstands for us as a result of the fact that winds will be rather light. Temperatures down to the 30s already in Jacksonville and Tallahassee and Pensacola. It's 50 degrees here in Sarasota, 41. That's what it feels like. In Orlando, it feels like near freezing. In Jacksonville already, much warmer in Key West. And as far as those winds go, still pretty brisk out there, making it feel much colder in places like Longboat Key, Anna Maria Island, and as well as Siesta Key. But as I said, those winds will start to calm a little bit as we head into the evening hours and into the early morning hours on Friday. So thus the wind chill advisory has not been issued for our immediate coast. We'll keep an eye on that for you from the National Weather Service. The pressure is way up there at 30-17. That's high. And that high pressure ridge will keep us under the clear skies throughout the day on Friday. But once again, temperatures are not expected to warm all that much tomorrow. Alan, will see high temperatures only into the mid to upper 50s. Now, there is a warming trend on the way. We'll start to see some warmer weather head back into our direction beginning late on Sunday afternoon. We'll have much more on our forecast. Obviously, let you know about any more cold fronts headed our way and when the next chance for rain will be. Coming up in just a few minutes. Alan?
Bob, there are a lot of people out there that are seeking refuge from the cold, but some are being turned away from local shelters because they're at capacity. Shelter officials say earlier this week they reached the maximum number of people fire regulations would allow, and they were forced to turn away people. A Salvation Army spokesperson said only 5 people were impacted, and they were given blankets and coats.
I'm going to do my best to find a warm place for them. It may not be a bed. It will be a mat on the floor someplace where it'll be out of the cold, and they'll be at least warm and protected overnight.
Patterson says they also have seen an increase of jacket and blanket donations, but they still need more. There are still shelters open on the Suncoast, and they will remain open through tomorrow as the cold weather continues. They include the Salvation Army on 10th Street in Sarasota, Grace United Methodist Church on Eastfield Avenue in Venice, and New Hope Community Church on South Biscayne Drive in Northport. And in Manatee County, the Manatee County Salvation Army shelter is open on 14th Street West in Bradenton. Florida farmers are preparing for continuing cold weather over the next few nights, with temperatures expected to drop in the 30s overnight. Many of Florida's agricultural commodities can't handle freezing temperatures for long. Citrus and strawberry farmers are running their irrigation systems to create a small layer of ice over the fruit to protect it from a hard freeze.
Florida agriculture has had a pretty tough year. We've had hurricanes, we've had fires, and now we have freezes. When you get just below freezing temperatures, most of our citrus and strawberries and some of those commodities, that's vulnerable for them.
As Bob just said, much of Florida is under winter weather advisories. A bank robbery on the Suncoast at the Florida Central Credit Union on 9th Street West in Bradenton. Police say a white man between 18 and 20 years old entered the bank armed with a handgun. He fired 2 rounds into the ceiling. It is unknown if he got away with any money. Late word tonight is the suspect is now in custody. 2 teenagers are under arrest after police say they stole a vehicle and almost hit Sarasota police officers. The police spotted the stolen vehicle out of Northport along Benjamin Franklin Drive on Lido Key. Officers tried to stop it, but say the driver instead drove in the southbound lane of the Boulevard of the Presidents. As officers repositioned, they said that the car came directly towards them, just missing them by a few feet. The 16-year-old driver and 13-year-old passenger were eventually stopped and arrested. Charlotte County Sheriff's deputies have made an arrest in a deadly Englewood home invasion last summer. Investigators have been looking for Edwin Randall since last August. That's when deputies say 2 armed men entered a home on 11th Street, demanded a cell phone, and tried to remove a safe from a bedroom. There was a fight, and one of the intruders, Charles Williams, was shot and killed. Investigators say Randall took off and escaped capture until now. Sheriff Tom Knight says we are not going to arrest our way out of the opioid crisis. Today, Knight, along with Attorney General candidate Ashley Moody, were at the Tiger Bay Club discussing tactics and plans to battle opioid addiction here in Florida, as well as the major obstacles. Knight stressed the importance of getting rid of the stigma attached to addiction and educating families on ways to help the struggling. A Tallahassee public relations firm is trying to round up support from state legislators to proclaim the University of Central Florida the college football national champions after their undefeated season. Kate Combs, president, wants legislators to proclaim UCF national champions after the Knights beat Auburn Monday to complete an undefeated season. Kevin Kate says it could help Florida's economy.
They're certainly the best team in Florida, to the chagrin of many people here in Tallahassee, but this is about more than Florida. It's about the national championship, what it's going to do to that university, what it's going to do to the economy, to have a national championship in Florida again.
The official national championship game will be played Monday night between the universities of Alabama and Georgia. And again, just watch the snarky comments. My daughter goes to UCF. Still to come. How are local retailers competing with chains and online shopping, especially during the holiday season?
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
How many out there have heeded the encouragement to shop locally this holiday season? We're counting hands. The numbers are still coming in about how national retailers did, but here on the Suncoast, we're concerned about how shops on Main Street did. Dwayne Lindo is here with more. Dwayne.
Well, Alan, while many shoppers may look to larger chains to do their holiday shopping, many smaller retailers are saying you may be better off shopping local, not only for better choices, but investing in the future of the city.
Hold on 1 second. Let me find it here.
Lotus Boutique on Main Street in Sarasota is packed with visitors from out of town and locals treating themselves to post-holiday gifts. Owner Harmony Cruising Benz expected the rush and made preparations way before the holidays.
I have a lot of vendors that I call, and I order in advance, and so I get the store fully stocked.
Cruising Benz and many downtown merchants doing their best to make brick and mortar great again.
After Christmas, we do an after Christmas sale, getting rid of our fall holiday merchandise.
Adobe Insights, a company that publishes research on digital marketing, calculated that Cyber Monday reached a record of $6.6 billion in sales, a 16.8% increase from last year. But according to Cruising Benz, even after New Year's, to compete with major chains and online shopping, she constantly evolves to cater to her customers.
I'm always adding new designers. I'm taking away old ones, I'm trying new things, take away things that don't work, add things that are working.
She also points to a familiar staff and charm outweighing the convenience of online holiday shopping.
If you want the quality, you shop at small stores, specialty stores, small businesses, and if you want the customer care, that's where you come.
We try to get things that you won't find at the malls in the big box stores. So I carry brands that are some of the finest in the world that you won't find anyplace else in Sarasota.
But that wasn't the only reason people are walking through the doors of local businesses, according to President of the Downtown Merchants Association, Ron Soto.
With all the construction we have going on downtown and all the buildings, it's not just the people that live here. We've got a lot more hotels now, which means we have a lot more visitors coming into downtown.
He owns Soto Optical downtown and has been at this location for 42 years. There's usually a sales boom going into Christmas, according to Soto, and this year has been especially good for local retailers.
At the end of the month, when you add everything up, it was a good season.
Soto and other downtown merchants are looking to build on that great season by spearheading efforts to revitalize the downtown area and are looking to events such as the Farmers Market for foot traffic. According to a study conducted by the Sarasota Farmers Market, the event brings in an average of 10,000 visitors weekly, bringing in $56 million to the local economy. An important aspect, says Sarasota Farmers Market Executive Director Phil Pagano.
It's good for downtown. A lot of the merchants are successful from the market, and it's a great thing.
Some other strides have also been made.
We have so many new retailers coming, so many new buildings coming up. Downtown is booming. There's tons of things to do. People don't want to drive necessarily out to the mall or anywhere else. So I think downtown is doing great with all the new construction going on.
And many local retailers downtown are looking for holiday sales to increase from year to year due to the construction boom of hotels and condos within city limits.
Dwayne, thank you. We have assembled an economic who's who on the trapezoid. The president of the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, the president of the Downtown Merchants Association, and the most respected economist in our area. We'll be back in a minute.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a barred IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the barred recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the barred IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
When it comes to drinking, what do you think moderation is? The U.S. Dietary Guidelines define moderation as up to 1 drink a day for women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. So what's a drink? The guidelines say a drink equals 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or a cocktail with 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits. Each contains the same amount of alcohol. Like to learn more? Visit drinkinmoderation.org.
Growing up, my mom was afraid of the water, something she did not want me to feel.
So I enrolled Missy in swim lessons.
It changed my life.
Missy Franklin.
And now you can do the same for someone that you love.
There's nothing more precious than your child's well-being.
So act now, before it's too late.
Make us fly! I'm glad I did.
Thanks, Mom. Visit usaswimmingfoundation.org to find, get, or give a swim lesson.
I took my first handful of pills, and that's when all my priorities seemed to change.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes.
He just assumed that they would have medication.
He'd go in their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
I wish I knew really what these prescription pills were.
We were so naive about the whole drug thing.
These are all synthetic forms of heroin.
Keep your medication locked up because you'll never notice that a pill is gone.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
Welcome back. You've heard the expression, think globally, act locally. It refers to the environment, but for our purposes tonight, we're talking about the local economy. Indications are the holiday season was very, very good to retailers, but what about our local retailers? Shops on Main Street, local merchants trying to compete against the big box stores for a share of your business. And joining us for more is Ron Soto, the president of the Downtown Merchants Association, Kevin Cooper, president of the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, and Michael Snipes, an economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee. Gentlemen, do we have any initial indications how our local retailers did this holiday season? Ron?
Just what people have told me verbally, that that December turned out to be a very good month for them. Majority of them had a weird month, though. It was like a couple of days that were really gangbusters, then a day or two of nothing, and then a couple more days of gangbusters, so it was a real roller coaster.
Why do you think that is?
Have no idea. I know this past weekend it's the weather, but I really have no idea why it was a roller coaster the way it was. But I found it in my own business that way.
Yeah, I mean, we did have some really frigid days, at least this week. But I did find and I'm walking around downtown Sarasota practically every single day. It was bustling most of the time. Kevin, what about countywide?
Yeah, I think the numbers reflect the same thing Ron was talking about countywide. And one of the reasons it's hard to get numbers in this early is, you know, almost 10 to 12% of holiday spending takes place between the week between Christmas and New Year. So a lot of people wait till after the fact to buy their gifts or returning and doing other things. So it's kind of hard to get those numbers together. But the national trends are showing to prove out here locally where you're seeing a really great month. And they might be kind of sporadic, ebb and flow. You don't know when it's going to come in, you don't when it's not. But year over year, what you're seeing is a really positive impact this year. And there's a lot of things about the economy that are contributing to that.
Michael, that was my next question. I would imagine it's too early to get the national numbers as well, but what is the sense out there in terms of how retailers did during the holiday season?
Well, nationally, what we saw really was reflected in what we saw locally, that online sales were up relative to last year, brick and mortar sales were up relative to last year, and really what that is more than anything just kind of an indicator or a reflection of how strong the economy is, both locally and at a national level.
Right, but we've done a number of stories over the last few years about the explosion in online shopping and how it's impacted retailers, both the big box stores and the mom and pop shops. Is that still playing out as a real threat to brick and mortar retailers?
If anything, I think that there might be a little bit of a turn towards brick and mortar becoming more and more important, because as was mentioned in the piece, you get a sense of kind of that personal connection, of that customer service, that you can experience the product that you don't get online. And online retailing and our online lives, our virtual lives are so commonplace and so fixed now that really the novelty now is getting that personal service that you can only get in a local business.
Kevin, is there, you wanted to say something?
Well, I think that, and Ron was, I think, a little bit modest in the opening piece talking about why people would come to his shop. It's about the unique experience you can get and the unique products you can get. So, the behemoth in the room is Amazon.com, and you can go there. But you simply can't find the quality of product, the diverse array of products, and the things you can't find here locally there. So that's what's driving, I think, people back to the retail location. We think of big box being kind of the model that's dying, but the local Main Street type retailer that's really doing a specialty service and specialty products is what's really starting to rear its head again.
I would imagine it depends on who you're shopping for. If you're shopping for somebody who's close to you and needs it, whether it's a pair of eyeglasses or a piece of jewelry, that's one thing. But for instance, when you want to buy something for your kids, you don't know exactly what their tastes are. You might be more open to buying a gift card and let them go out and buy whatever Nike product they want.
I think what the Amazon type of thing that's hurting is the big box stores, the Sears and stuff like that. The little ma and pa's, when you walk in, you're not a number. You are a person that comes in. We don't have customers. We have relationships with those customers. So when they come in, they get something special. They get that person that's always been there. When you walk into the studios, you find that, hey, this guy's been here for 25 years.
All right, we're just getting warmed up, and we'll have much more on the local retailers right after we check the First Alert weather. Stay with us.
Planning a Carnival Fantasy Cruise out of Mobile? Then check out the park and cruise packages at the luxurious Battle House and Renaissance Riverview Plaza hotels. Stay at the Battle House for $169 per night, or the Riverview Plaza for just $149 per night, and leave your car for the duration of your cruise. Includes transportation to and from the cruise terminal. If you're cruising out of Mobile, come stay with us. Call 1-800-MARRIOTT or visit Marriott.com now.
For more than 100 years, American Humane Association has been teaching kids to be kind to animals. Those in our homes, on the farms, on the silver screen, and wildlife conservation, caring for the world's vanishing creatures. But we can't do it alone. Visit kindness100.org to find ways to teach kids how they can make a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for all of us.
My name is Luke Perry, and I am 1 million strong. I'm in the fight against colorectal cancer because I believe we can win it. Colon and rectal cancers are the second leading cause of cancer deaths among men and women in the U.S. Colon cancer is preventable. Know the risk factors and make sure to get screened. There are simple, take-home options available. Take control of your health. Screening for colon cancer isn't embarrassing. It can be life-saving. To find out more about your options, visit fightcrc.org.
Our conversation on how local retail is doing continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Well, I'll tell you, a beautiful afternoon looking at just this video that you see right here is time-lapse. So looking out over Sarasota Bay, you can see those waves are up. But unfortunately, that sunshine did not warm things up much. Highs were only into the mid to upper 50s today, well below the seasonal average. Typically, our high temperature gets into the low 70s. A nice sunset this evening. And we're looking at the evening planner now. Wind chills will be a factor later on, say around 10 o'clock into the low to mid 40s or 11 o'clock. Could see some upper 30s to low 40s. Temperatures will actually be into the mid 40s by 11 o'clock tonight. And we are anticipating lows even near the coast, 35 to 40 degrees. They are continuing to get hammered by snowfall from Maine all the way to Massachusetts tonight. And it's starting to lessen now in New York, but some areas could get up to 18 inches of snow still in parts of Maine where blizzard warnings remain in effect as this major winter storm continues to race off to the northeast. For us, it's just the cold air that's in place now, and numerous weather watches and warnings continue. The area in dark blue that you see, that is a hard freeze warning, meaning temperatures will drop below 27 degrees for at least a couple of hours in that area. It's north of Tampa Bay. Basically north of our area, but we are under a freeze warning, meaning we will see freezing temperatures, not extreme, but right around 30 to 32 degrees right there into inland counties from East Sarasota and Manatee counties eastward into Highlands County. And then a freeze watch tomorrow night, not for us, but just for areas north of us. Now, temperature is at 50 degrees, the dew point is at 40, and winds are out of the north-northwest at 7. So no wind chill advisory tonight because the winds will be so light. We are anticipating lighter winds during the overnight hours as high pressure builds right in over the top of us. The high today was only 58 degrees. This morning's low at the Sarasota Braden Airport, 35. We had some upper 20s well inland into Highlands County and also into northern Hardy County. No rainfall to report today. We're over a ½ inch of rain at the Sarasota Braden Airport. Current temperature is already down in the 30s in Tallahassee and also into Jacksonville and Pensacola. Much warmer though in Key West, 61 degrees there, 56 in Miami and 46 in Orlando. It feels like 41 there in Orlando now. Close to freezing what it feels like in Jacksonville. And again, temperatures will continue to fall throughout the night. Now, this is the high pressure ridge, which is going to build in slowly, but around this area of high pressure, we get this clockwise flow, and that brings us that direct north wind, and that cools us down. And it looks as though we will see that in place through Saturday. Eventually, by Sunday, it parks itself to the east of the state, and we'll start to see some easterly wind, and that will warm us up. We'll be back to 70 degrees by Sunday. A lot of people will be happy with that, but if you pick this week for vacation here in Florida, you weren't too lucky in the temperature range there as far as that goes. We're going to see temperatures moderating a bit throughout the week next week as a result of that high pressure ridge just to the east of the state. Now, there will be another cold front moving through, but the next cold front that does move through will not be nearly as powerful as the one we just had. Well, current temperatures 0 in Minneapolis, 5 in Detroit, Boston's at 26, Cleveland's at 9 now, St. Louis 17. You factor in the wind and it feels like -8 in Chicago, -10 in Cleveland, Ohio. You know, just hard to fathom these kind of temperatures. It's extremely cold. You can't do anything outdoors. You got to pretty much just run to your car if you're going to drive at all, and you can't get exposed at all to that kind of wind chill because it causes problems very rapidly. 8 degrees what it feels like now in the nation's capital. 16 as far south as Atlanta. And the highs tomorrow, it doesn't warm up much. Highs in the single digits in Minneapolis, Detroit, Toronto, Cleveland. A little bit warmer in Atlanta, but still in the 30s there. For boaters, it gets better. Winds have been brisk lately. They'll start off at 15 knots out on the waters anyway, northeasterly. Turning to the north at 5 to 10 late in the day. Seas running 2 to 4 feet and a moderate chop in the bays and inland waters. The water temperature now 61, and that's getting dangerously cold for some of the snook around town. And low tide will be at 7:53. A high tide will be at 1:29. Another low tide at 9:57 tomorrow morning. Tonight, freeze inland, mostly fair, and a patchy frost at the wind areas where the wind protected areas are. There'll be some patchy frost around 35 for a low, and that's near the coast. Inland areas will be right around 27 to 32. Patchy frost to start the day off tomorrow. You'll see that forecast gradually get warmer as we move through time. Highs on Friday, though, only into the upper 50s. By Monday, into the mid-70s. Alan will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers, but you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
I am the resident district manager on the FAU campus for Chartwell. Whenever I see Haley, I do not see a person with a disability. I see a person with extraordinary abilities. Haley is always smiling. She's always on time. She gives fantastic customer service and is always focused on any job that she's given.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Once you get atrial fibrillation, you need to have a very close relationship with your primary doctor. Prevention is the whole ball game here, because once you have a stroke, you can't undo it. A year without stroke, it's a year that you can enjoy doing the things that you've worked all your life to finally get to do. You took care of yourself. You did what is necessary for you to be around one more year. And then next year, we'll celebrate one more year without a stroke.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard serve to give back to their country and communities. Their part-time commitment qualifies them for an array of benefits, such as affordable health and life insurance benefits, education benefits, including tuition assistance, student loan repayment and GI Bill programs, a retirement plan based on part-time service, and VA home mortgages. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about all the benefits available in the Army National Guard.
Welcome back. We're talking about how local retailers did during the holiday season, and joining us for more is Ron Sutto, president of the Downtown Merchants Association, Kevin Cooper, president of the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, and Michael Snipes, an economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee. Michael, is it possible to get kind of an accurate read in terms of how retailers are doing just from what we saw over the holiday season? I have a buddy, John, who says the roads were busier than ever, the parking lots at the mall were as busy as ever, and therefore the economy is doing better now than we have seen in years.
Well, you would rather see financial numbers than you would the number of cars in parking lot, but really it's hit or miss, because if it's just one or two people in a car, then a parking lot can fill up pretty quickly. But if you've got 4 or 5 people and you've got multiple generations all within a car, then fewer cars might actually be a good thing. It's really more about the customer.
So when are we going to see accurate numbers in terms of nationally how we did? I know that there was a preliminary report before the end of last month that said that holiday retail sales rose by 4.9% over the year before.
Mm-hmm. It usually takes a couple months. I'm not entirely exactly sure when the reports come out, but it does, if we're talking about the entire economy, those do take time to compile all those numbers.
And Kevin, what about here on the Suncoast?
Yeah, I think it's mimicking what you're seeing. I think the report you're referring to came out of MasterCard, where they showed data from November 1st up to December 24th, and they show kind of spending data that they collect. And it's been fairly accurate over time, and what they show is what they expected to see was about a 3-4% rise over last year, and they saw a 4.9% increase.
But do you try to break it down to what we're seeing in the greater Sarasota area in terms of whether it's big box stores or what's happening on Main Street, how the area itself is doing?
Yeah, you do, and I think what you're starting to see in this area, I think the headwinds coming into this season, what you were starting to see is we saw unemployment going down, but what we weren't seeing here locally was some wage growth. And over the last year, we really started seeing some wage growth. We started seeing the average work week grow up. So we really started seeing this consumer confidence on the Suncoast really starting to go up. Hiring started to increase even more. And so you saw that happen, and then anecdotally, you start to talk to people like Ron and people that are running the merchants here on Main Street, and they're seeing it. It's definitely happening. What we won't know is the full effect here, and I think we'll get some returns that come back in the month of January. We won't really assess what happens until February, March, but it's there.
Ron, 2 questions to you. Is there anything the Downtown Retailers Association is doing to actually try to nail down where our sales are? Not nationally, not regionally, but what's happening in downtown Sarasota?
We actually just pooled amongst ourselves We don't actually take numbers from it because there's a lot of people, they don't want to give their numbers up and what they're doing. They want to keep that a little private. But we share amongst ourselves how we did over the past year, the month or so.
And what can you tell us about who your customers are? Are they the snowbirds who come down here every year? Are they the vacationers maybe from Canada or from overseas? Or is it people living in our community who are here 12 months a year, who are coming into the store now with a little bit more enthusiasm or money in their wallet to do things that they haven't in the last few years?
The majority of the people who we're going to have coming in our stores right now are going to be the snowbirds. That's the bottom line. Then in the summertime it changes. It's all locals because the snowbirds aren't here. So it varies. But the thing about downtown, and there's a trend right now, and it's in most of your major papers and magazines, that it's back to Main Street. They want to be known as a name and not a number. And when you walk in a place like Kennedy Studios, Ron Campion's been there for 30-some years. You go to the jeweler next to me, Friends Jewelers, and Tom Friend and his family have been there for 30-some years. So every time you come in, it's that same face. They know you, you know them. And then you go to a Pottery Barn, and it's a new customer, a new patient waiting on you every time you walk in.
Okay, we have to take a quick break, and we'll be back right in a moment.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-685-6422, 800-685-6422.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Letting my friends online know I was quitting kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it. You can too.
For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
Our nation's servicemen and women show great courage and leadership both on and off the battlefield. When they transition to civilian life, they can apply the skills and values they learned in the military to the workplace. That's why the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes is urging employers everywhere to be smart, bet on a vet. Hiring a veteran is also a great way to show your appreciation for them. To learn more, call 1-888-44-SALUTE.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
Welcome back, and we continue our conversation about how local retailers did during the holiday season. And here's the question. Is there something that, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce or the Downtown Retailers Association, can do to try to coordinate strategy during the holidays in terms of getting people to come down, whether it's advertising a certain day or some kind of special program? What do you do, and how effective is it?
Well, we've hired a person to come in and do our social media for us. So they're doing Facebook, Twitter, all the social groups that are out there. And we coordinate that so everybody can have little bits of advertising. They do snicklets, and we do that as a group. So you not just coming downtown to see me, we want to advertise everybody to come down.
Right, but the difficulty I would imagine is what you want to do to get people to come into Ron's glass store is different than what you want to come into a bookstore, maybe.
Well, that's the thing. You know, chambers of commerce often operate under this concept that a rising tide lifts all boats. Let's bring the area up, and everyone will come along with it. But the strategies are so different, and it's hard to kind of get in the mind of a retailer who, like Ron, may be acting very different than an antique dealership, than a buy and sell coin dealership to do those things. So you don't really know what their individual strategies are. So you can kind of market an area or market a concept or market an event, but it really comes down to the granular details of why one person is walking into another store versus one person there. You don't know what brought them there. It's kind of really difficult to aggregate the traffic one way or another. So it becomes very challenging, but there is a sense to what Ron's point is of social media bringing him to the area that the rising tide does lift all boats.
Michael, we were talking about this during the break, and you raised the term algorithms.
Yeah, there are ways, and I think that this would be something that I think could be useful for downtown, would be to look into. It's something similar to what Amazon does. So if you get on Amazon and you buy something and you scroll down a little bit, you'll see something that says customers who bought this also bought this. And that's all done by algorithm, right? That's a computer that keeps track of who buys what and matches up things. So that's why you see somebody who buys a book also buys a toaster, right? So that might be something that you could coordinate downtown, that somebody who is more likely to go to a restaurant is also more likely to go to a specific business. You can form a partnership.
And it's the reason why I get so many advertisements for dog products on my Facebook page right now, because I looked at one video. Michael, in terms of what we're dealing with in terms of local merchants, local retailers here, is this really any different than many other communities around the country?
Well, I think it goes back to, again, you're seeing this revitalization or this push towards moving more towards brick and mortar places that where you can get the customer service, this movement back towards Main Street. You see places that are big names start to really struggle and go out of business. Macy's is really struggling. Kmart's really struggling, and you see the smaller places.
In fact, Macy's just announced it's closing even more stores right now. But I guess what surprises us about this is that it was just a couple of years ago we were talking about the death of the mom and pop shop. And then we were talking about the death of the big chains like Macy's and so forth. And even though those companies have struggled over the last couple of years, it seems some business is returning.
I think some of that is the rise of the millennials. I think that a lot of what that's reflecting is a difference in the type of customers who are actually now making their purchases. You're seeing people who are my age and younger now start to get their first jobs and get their income, and their spending is going to reflect their values, and that's going to reflect more towards local businesses over big boxes.
But I would imagine that there is a large segment of our community here, because we talk about how many snowbirds are on the Suncoast, that if they're shopping for their grandson Johnny or granddaughter Molly, there is still an attraction to do it online so they could sell it, buy it, and ship it all with a click of a button.
When you take grandma and grandpa and they have their grandkids down here on the Suncoast, there's no experience that you can have except to go down to Toy Lab and let those kids play with the toys, and grandma and grandpa get to see them do that. You cannot do that online.
Okay, so what is our takeaway here?
Well, but I think, and to jump on that, I mean, from an experience online, is I think over time the local Main Street retailers become a lot more savvy about online retailing. They're hiring social media people. They're actually getting in the game online, so they're not having to yield all the sales to people like Amazon or the large big box stuff that are able to do that. They're able to compete in the same game.
And we work together. For instance, you come into my store and get your eyes get your eyeglasses done, or your head examined. We might go ahead and give you a little appetizer over at Boca or maybe at Patrick's when you come in there, so then they get something out of it.
All right, so it's time for final thoughts. And Ron, if there's one thing that you can change about how we do business in downtown Sarasota here, what would that be?
Oh, geez.
Is that too much for
no snappy comebacks on that one?
Parking, meters?
Just keep the meters away for right now. But parking, parking always seems to be a problem, but if you have a problem with parking, that's a good problem.
Okay. Kevin, regionally, what is the one thing that we need to improve upon?
I think what we need to make sure we're doing is not saturating the market with retail square footage. I mean, we need to make sure, I think per capita spending here on the Suncoast is really where it needs to be from a comparative set across communities but we need to, across the United States, we need to make sure the mix of options that we have for people aren't oversaturated, because when that happens, the spending per square foot goes down and you really have a problem with the mix of stuff you have in the area. Of course, that'll never start competition in a free market, but it's really important for us to make sure we're having what we need when we need it and focus on Main Street where the experiential shopping happens, but also in the malls where you can get a different set of options that aren't available anywhere else.
We need more restaurants. Michael, nationally, you said that we're moving back towards the smaller chains and the mom and pop shops, but you know, are we seeing a good turn in terms of the way retailers in general are doing right now?
So far, so good. I mean, we do need to keep in mind that a lot of retail and a lot of spending is cyclical, and you always see increases in spending at the last quarter of the year. You're going to see drops in the first quarter, second quarter, but that's really just to be expected. That's just the cyclical nature of the economy.
Okay, well, I'll have to leave it there. FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And for the latest on local breaking news, don't forget to download the updated version of our app. If your current app doesn't work, it's expired, just go to the App Store and re-download it by searching for WWSB or My Suncoast. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Ron Sutto is the president of the Downtown Merchants Association. Kevin Cooper is president of the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, and Michael Snipes is an economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather, plus what impact does the Fire and Fury book have on the Trump presidency when we return.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
Designers do it with style.
Tell me what's going on here.
Why, you don't like my hair? The Mark and Mandy Show. In-depth design ideas.
What is up with the tuck tape here? Let's cover it up.
Amazing beauty and fashion tips.
So Halle Berry has amazing skin. Her secret is coffee grounds.
No.
Delicious recipes.
Today, I'm going to show you a special dish that is sure to please that special someone in your life.
Watch the Mark and Mandy Show right here on your favorite channel.
I'll be right back.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Well, we showed the bay earlier with the time lapse, Alan. This is Lakewood Ranch. You know, beautiful clear blue skies this afternoon. Temperatures did not respond to that sunshine, though. The north wind continues just to vect this cold air our way, and temperatures only into the mid to upper 50s today. It was rather crisp out there, and we're going to see a very cold night ahead, too, as temperatures will fall to freezing across the area, mainly right around 30 to 32. Now, for plants to really get significantly hurt, the temperature has to go from 27 to a little bit below that, and that's going to happen to the north of us. That's the dark area that you see right there. That's a hard freeze warning. It's in effect basically from just north of Tampa, just to the north of Orlando, over to just south of Daytona Beach. That's all in the hard freeze tonight. We are in the freeze zone. That means we are going to see freezing temperatures here, but that'll be basically east of I-75. And near the coast, 35 to 40 degree temperatures anticipated. Again, a freeze watch is in effect for Saturday morning. So you're wondering about tomorrow night and Saturday morning. Well, we're not going to be in that freeze warning, it appears. It'll be to our north. And we will see the potential, though, for some frost around on both the mornings, tomorrow and Saturday. It'll be patchy because we'll have a little bit of a wind. Just a little bit of a wind will inhibit the frost from forming. But wind-protected areas could indeed see some frost around. The pressure 30.17, that's high. That will continue to rise. Temperatures around some cities and locations around town. 54 at Longboat Key, Braden Country Club. 51, a little bit cooler there. 48 in Waterleaf. And it's 51 at Lake Sarasota, Laurel Oak the same. And 53 degrees in Venice now. Plantation, you're at 49, the same in Northport, and Punta Gorda at 50 degrees, and so is Port Charlotte. Well, tomorrow's hourly forecast looks to be very chilly, although a cold start will warm up into the mid to upper 50s. Lots of sunshine, not much wind. It should be quite nice out there. If you like the cool temperatures, they'll be around, and we're not looking at for that big wind, which was around earlier this week, which is not the best as far as I'm concerned. I don't mind the cooler temperatures, just that wind going right through to your bones. That makes a big difference. Now, the major winter storm will wind on down tomorrow. That wind will really whip up out of the northwest. Some of the wind reports with this bomb cyclone up to 60 miles an hour. Still some blizzard conditions going on in Maine, but this high pressure ridge will build in. Eventually it slips off to the east on Sunday. That will give us an easterly wind. And if you like 70-degree temperatures, they'll be back by Sunday late afternoon. So they'll stick around too, I think, for a little while, even though we're going to see another cold front head in our direction come late Tuesday, I should say early Tuesday morning, late Monday. Well, nationally, there's not a whole lot going on with the exception of that major winter storm off the northeast. Current temp 17 in St. Louis. Much milder, though, if you head down toward Phoenix, 77 there. It's down to 28 in Atlanta. It feels like about 17 if you factor in the wind chill. Now, the cold air that's been around is going to retreat. It's heading off to the northeast now. We'll have another pocket of it coming down on January 11th, but this one doesn't appear that it's going to make it all the way in our direction. We'll keep an eye on it for you, though. That's a long-range model forecast showing that cold, bitter air, again, penetrating northern plains and into the northern Rockies. For boaters tomorrow, a little bit better. The sea's running 2 to 4 feet, however. There'll be a moderate chop on the bays and inland waters. The tides upcoming for Sarasota Bay. We'll have, again, a high tide at 129 and a low at 9:57. Tonight, freeze inland, otherwise fair skies, patchy frost, 35 for a low. Tomorrow, some patchy frost in the morning. Still cool, though. Highs only in the mid to upper 50s. The extended forecast calling for some patchy frost Saturday morning. Then we warm up, stay in the 70s through Thursday of next week. Chance for showers comes late Monday and early Tuesday. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this. Stick around.
It's time to take a road trip.
If you love the beach, Alabama's Gulf Coast has 32 miles of sugar white sand and turquoise water. Looking for a room with a view? We have them, beachside and bayside. There's incredible history. Whoa! And the seafood is fresh from the Gulf. Another round of shrimp for my friends. Alabama has a road trip with your name on it.
Which one you gonna take?
Attention, Americans eligible for Medicare. Are you getting all the benefits you're entitled to? Did you know there may be money available to lower your medical prescription costs? Call Health Markets and we'll tell you if you qualify.
Hi, I'm Dr. Martin Jeetsi. It's a new Medicare year. That means more changes and more confusion. The key question is, what can you do now to ensure you get the care you need in the coming year?
Call Health Markets today. You may qualify to save money on prescriptions. We'll help you find plans that may cost less, cover more, and could even lower your prescription costs to increase your savings. We help you find all the benefits you're entitled to, and we do it at no cost.
Make sure you have what you need to get the care that's right for you.
Find out if you qualify to receive extra help with your prescriptions. Call the number on the screen now. Representatives are standing by.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
I'm Deshauna Barber. In 2016, I was proud to win the title of Miss USA. What makes me just as proud is my service in the U.S. military. In the service, a soldier gains skills and learns values like discipline and leadership. That makes them an asset to any business that hires them. If you're an employer, on behalf of Coalition to Salute America's Heroes, remember to hire smart and bet on a vet. Visit saluteheroes.org or call this number to learn more.
Checking primetime headlines, the fallout continues over an upcoming book on the inner workings of the Trump administration, and it has the White House scrambling, pointing fingers, and threatening lawsuits. Kristen Holmes digs into the center of the latest controversy, the president and his former chief strategist.
Did Steve Bannon betray you, Mr. President?
A White House in turmoil, pushing back against a new bombshell book claiming to give a behind-the-scenes look at the Trump administration. Excerpts from the unreleased book Fire and Fury, painting a picture of disorganization and constant infighting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and calling into question President Trump's fitness to serve as commander-in-chief.
Thank you all very much.
A lawyer for President Trump sending a cease and desist letter to the publisher of the book, as well as to the president's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon.
The president absolutely believes in the First Amendment. The president also believes in making sure that information is accurate before pushing it out as fact when it certainly and clearly is not.
Former chief executive of President Trump's campaign quoted in the explosive book criticizing President Trump and members of the First Family. Bannon attempting to tamp down any tension on his morning radio show.
By the way, nothing will ever come between us and President Trump and his agenda. Don't worry about that.
When asked about Bannon on Thursday, President Trump dismissed the controversy.
I don't know, he called me a great man last night, so, he obviously changed his tune pretty quick.
Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, some Republicans hoping to steer clear of the drama, trying to turn the focus to a lengthy legislative agenda.
I just think we need to put this stuff aside and get back to work.
A short-term fix to fund the government expires on January 19th.
Yet another Republican member of Congress is announcing they won't seek re-election at the end of their term. Greg Harper of Mississippi says he won't seek re-election at the end of his term, January of 2019. Harper became the 44th member of current or House to include more than 24 Republicans to announce that they will retire or resign by the end of their current term. Harper says he has been considering leaving for nearly 2 years and made his decision over the holidays. He was first elected in 2008. Incredible. The balance of power on the line in the Virginia legislature. A drawing has decided the winner in the disputed key race that ended in a tie. Virginia Republican David Yancey was declared the winner of the 94th district seat in Newport News after his name was drawn from a bowl, a procedure laid out in the 1705 law. Yancey's win means the GOP will retain its majority by a 51-49 margin. This may not be over just yet. Minutes before the drawing, Democratic challenger Shelley Simons wouldn't commit to accepting the outcome, possibly pursuing a second recount or some other tactic to settle the race, stating that she is keeping all her options open. And that's all the time we have. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Good night.